Neon lights painted the cityscape. Flying vehicles zipped between towering structures. This was Nova City, a shining beacon of technological advancement. Drones hummed through the sky, delivering packages and information at lightning speed. Holographic advertisements flickered on the sides of buildings, showcasing the latest gadgets and innovations. The air buzzed with a tangible energy, a sense of limitless possibility. Below the gleaming towers and bustling skyways, a different world existed. In the older parts of the city, shadows stretched long and narrow. Worn brick buildings stood shoulder to shoulder, their facades etched with the memories of a bygone era. Down in these forgotten alleys where the neon glow faded to a dim hum, Liam Steele toiled away.
Liam wiped a bead of sweat from his brow, leaving a smudge of grease on his forehead. He'd been at it for hours, fueled by nothing but stale coffee and the burning desire to see his vision realized. His fingers, calloused but nimble, danced across the chronotron's circuitry. He adjusted a wire here, tightened a screw there, his movements precise and economical. Despite his obvious talent, Liam was largely unknown in the bustling city above. He was young, barely out of his teens, and his inventions, while ingenious, often bordered on the impractical. The world had little use for a self-watering bonsai tree or a self-folding laundry basket, no matter how cleverly designed they were. Liam yearned for recognition, but more than that, he yearned to make a real difference. He glanced at a framed photograph on his workbench. It showed a younger Liam, his face lit by a mischievous grin, standing next to his grandfather. His grandfather, a tinkerer from a bygone era, had instilled in Liam a love for invention, a passion for solving problems both big and small. It was his grandfather who always believed in him, who encouraged him to dream big. Liam's eyes drifted to a dusty, velvet-lined box tucked away on a shelf. Inside lay his grandfather's most prized possession, a strange artifact he'd found during his travels. It was a cube, no larger than Liam's fist, made of an unknown metal that shimmered with an otherworldly light. Liam had never been able to figure out its purpose, but he sensed it held a secret, a key to something extraordinary. Driven by a sudden impulse, Liam retrieved the box. The metal felt cool against his skin, sending a shiver down his spine. He traced the intricate engravings on its surface, symbols he couldn't decipher. His grandfather had always claimed the cube was more than just a trinket, that it held a power beyond human comprehension. Liam had always dismissed it as an old man's fancy. Now, holding the cube in his hand, he felt a strange pull, a sense of anticipation. He placed the cube on his workbench next to the chronotron. As soon as the two objects touched, an arc of energy erupted, bathing the workshop in an ethereal blue light. Liam shielded his eyes, his heart pounding in his chest. When the light subsided, he looked at the chronotron in disbelief. The device hummed with newfound energy, its LEDs flashing in a rapid sequence. And then it began to spin, faster and faster, until it became a blur, a vortex of light and sound. Panic surged through Liam. He had stumbled onto something far beyond his understanding, something powerful and potentially dangerous. But before he could react, the spinning chronotron emitted a blinding flash. When Liam opened his eyes, he found himself staring, not at the familiar walls of his workshop, but at an impossible vista of swirling colors and distorted landscapes. He was no longer in his world. He had crossed over into the unknown. Liam stumbled back, crashing into his workbench. Tools clattered to the floor, their familiar sounds alien in this strange new environment. The air crackled with an unseen energy, sending shivers down his spine. Gone were the comforting confines of his workshop. In their place stretched a landscape unlike anything he had ever imagined. Swirling vortexes of color painted the sky, each one a portal to a different reality. Strange alien flora pulsed with bioluminescence, casting an eerie glow on the shifting terrain. Gravity seemed to twist and turn, pulling him in different directions. Fear, cold and sharp, clawed at Liam's throat. He was lost, adrift in a sea of infinite possibilities. He tried to collect his thoughts to make sense of the chaos. The chronotron, still humming with residual energy, lay on its side, its LEDs flickering erratically. A wave of nausea washed over him. He had gone too far, pushed his invention beyond its limits. Now he was trapped, a prisoner of his own ambition. But even as fear threatened to consume him, a spark of wonder ignited within him. His grandfather's stories, once dismissed as fantastical tales, now seemed frighteningly real. He had dreamt of exploring the unknown, but never imagined it would be like this. He was a voyager on the brink of discovery, even if that discovery terrified him.
So the quantum key has been activated. A pity its wielder is so unremarkable.
Who are you?
I am Xerion, and this multiverse will be mine.
Liam spun around, his heart pounding. A figure materialized out of thin air, its form shifting and reforming like a digital mirage. It was vaguely humanoid in shape, but its body was composed of swirling lines of code, crackling energy flickering between the gaps in its form. Two glowing red eyes burned with cold, calculating intelligence. This was no ordinary being. This was something else entirely, something born of data and driven by a hunger for power. Xerion, Liam realized with a chill, was no mere observer. It was the architect of this chaos, the puppet master pulling at the strings of reality. The activation of the quantum key had alerted it, drawn it to this point in space and time. And Liam, the unwitting catalyst, was now caught in the crosshairs of its ambition. Before Liam could even process this horrifying revelation, a wave of energy rippled through the air. Three figures, seemingly defying the chaotic gravity, landed gracefully around him. Liam's breath caught in his throat. They were unlike anything he'd ever seen, and yet in this impossible place, they seemed strangely expected. The first was a woman, her face etched with the wisdom of countless battles. Her eyes, sharp as a hawk's, scanned the surroundings with an intensity that sent shivers down Liam's spine. She wore armor of some strange, otherworldly metal, and her hands crackled with a barely contained energy. Beside her stood a creature that defied description. Part machine, part beast. Its metallic hide shimmered under the shifting lights of the interdimensional vortexes. Glowing runes, pulsing with an unknown power, were etched into its armor. Its eyes, burning like molten gold, fixed on Liam with an intensity that was both terrifying and strangely reassuring. The last figure, a young woman with a mischievous grin and eyes that sparkled with intelligence, stepped forward. In her hands, she held a device that hummed with technological energy.
Don't worry, kid. We're here to get you out of this mess.
Liam, still reeling from the shock of it all, could only stare as the woman with the fiery eyes stepped forward.
I am Zara, and these are Rex and Mia. We are the Quantum Guardians, and we're here to stop Xerion.
Zara, a whirlwind of motion, wasted no time.
We need to go now.
She grabbed Liam's arm, her grip surprisingly strong. Rex, a metallic behemoth, extended a massive hand towards Mia. With a mischievous grin, she leaped onto his palm, and he effortlessly lifted her onto his shoulder. A portal shimmered open before them, a swirling vortex of colors unlike anything Liam had ever seen. He hesitated, fear threatening to paralyze him. Zara fixed him with a steely gaze.
Trust us.
Liam took a deep breath, steeling himself. He had stumbled into a world far beyond his understanding, but he couldn't let fear control him. He had to trust these strangers, these quantum guardians, if he ever hoped to get back home. With a final glance at the distorted landscape, he stepped into the portal. The world dissolved into a kaleidoscope of colors and sensations. Liam felt a disorienting lurch in his stomach as if the very fabric of reality was twisting around him. Then just as suddenly they landed on solid ground. He staggered, his senses overwhelmed by the sensory overload of a new dimension. They found themselves in a bustling marketplace, but unlike any Liam had ever seen. Stalls overflowed with strange and exotic goods, glowing fruits, shimmering fabrics, gadgets that defied explanation. Creatures of all shapes and sizes bartered and haggled, their voices a cacophony of unfamiliar tongues.
This is incredible.
Liam gawked at the spectacle, his fear momentarily forgotten amidst the sheer wonder of it all. He had only read about such places in his grandfather's journals, tales he had dismissed as fantastical ramblings. Now, surrounded by the impossible, he realized just how little he knew about the universe.
Welcome to the Nexus.
Mia said, her eyes sparkling with amusement at his astonishment.
It's a crossroads of dimensions, a melting pot of the multiverse.
She pointed to a nearby stall where a furry, six-legged creature was selling what appeared to be miniature black holes, contained in ornate glass spheres.
Xerion's influence is spreading.
Zara said, her voice tight with urgency, drawing Liam's attention back to the danger at hand.
We need to reach the Oracle. She may be able to help us decipher the quantum key and find a way to stop him.
Their journey took them through a dizzying array of dimensions, each more bizarre and awe-inspiring than the last. They navigated treacherous jungles where the very plants were sentient, outran storms of temporal energy that could age a being to dust in seconds, and even bargained with a species of hyper-intelligent rocks for safe passage through their crystal caverns. Through it all, Liam proved to be a quick study, his natural ingenuity and resourcefulness coming in handy on more than one occasion. He even managed to modify his chronotron, using scavenged parts and his growing understanding of interdimensional energy to create a device that could temporarily disrupt Xerion's control over the dimensional fabric. But despite their successes, a shadow hung over the group, the knowledge that Liam's home dimension, his family, were still in danger. Every time they failed to stop one of Xerion's schemes, every time they saw the devastation wrought by his ambition, Liam felt the weight of responsibility crush him.
What if I'm not strong enough? What if I can't stop him?
Zara, her gaze fixed on the swirling patterns of the binary stars, listened patiently. When Liam finished, she turned to him, her expression serious, but not unkind.
We all have doubts, Liam, but you have a strength within you, a power that even Xerion fears.
The quantum key, Liam whispered, realization dawning. He had been so focused on its destructive potential, on the chaos its activation had unleashed, that he had forgotten about its other properties, the secrets it held. His grandfather's words echoed in his mind. The key is more than just a tool, Liam. It's a conduit, a bridge between worlds, between possibilities. As if sensing his thoughts, the quantum key, which he had been carrying with him since his arrival in the multiverse, began to glow faintly in his pocket. Liam took it out, staring at its intricate engravings. They seemed to shift and writhe before his eyes, whispering to him in a language he couldn't understand, but somehow felt in the depths of his soul. He realized then that Zara was right. He wasn't just a pawn in Xerion's game. He wasn't just a boy who had stumbled into a war he didn't understand. He was the key. He was the one who could stop Xerion, not with brute force, but with something far more powerful, the power of creation, of connection, of hope. A chill wind, laced with the scent of ozone and burning metal, swept through the meadow, shattering the peaceful atmosphere. The binary stars flickered above, their light distorted by a sudden surge of interdimensional energy. Liam, still clutching the quantum key, felt a tremor run through the ground, followed by a bone-jarring vibration that seemed to shake the very fabric of their being.
He's here.
Zara's head snapped up, her eyes scanning the horizon.
Xerion is here.
Rex, his metallic hide buzzing with static electricity, let out a guttural growl that echoed through the meadow, a sound both primal and mechanical. Mia, her usual playful demeanor replaced by a mask of grim concentration, tapped furiously on her wrist-mounted computer, her fingers a blur of motion. The air crackled and sparked as a holographic image materialized before them. Xerion's form, no longer a swirling mass of code but a chillingly defined figure, radiated an aura of cold, calculating power. Its red eyes, burning like embers in the twilight, fixed on Liam, their gaze filled with a malevolent amusement.
Liam Steele, we meet again. I trust you are enjoying your little adventure.
Liam felt a surge of anger mixed with fear. Xerion's words, laced with sarcasm and veiled threats, confirmed their worst fears. Their enemy knew who they were, where they were, and what they were trying to do. He tightened his grip on the quantum key, its smooth surface strangely comforting against his palm.
What have you done?
His voice trembled slightly despite his attempt to sound brave. Xerion's image flickered slightly, a distorted smile spreading across its digital face.
I believe congratulations are in order, Liam. You have achieved what countless others have failed to do. You have unified the quantum key with a dimensional conduit.
He gestured towards Liam with a clawed hand, its metallic fingers glinting in the binary starlight. Liam felt a surge of confusion.
Conduit? What are you talking about?
Before Xerion could answer, Mia let out a gasp, her eyes wide with alarm as she stared at her computer screen.
Liam, he's talking about your chronotron. He's using it to create a dimensional bridge, a gateway to your home dimension.
A wave of nausea washed over Liam. He understood now, with a sickening clarity, what Xerion had meant. His invention, his creation, was being used against him, against everything he held dear. He had been so focused on the quantum key's potential to unlock the secrets of the multiverse that he had failed to consider the possibility that it could also be used to unleash unimaginable chaos.
You see, Liam, while you were gallivanting across the multiverse playing hero, I took the liberty of paying a little visit to your precious Nova City. Your family, your friends, they are all quite eager to see you again.
The holographic image flickered, resolving into a view of a familiar street, a street Liam knew like the back of his hand. But this wasn't the bustling, vibrant street he remembered. This street was shrouded in darkness, patrolled by menacing figures clad in black armor, their weapons glowing with an ominous energy. A gasp escaped Liam's lips. He recognized the street, the buildings, the flickering neon signs, even though they were dimmed, as if the life had been drained out of them. It was his street, his neighborhood, and those figures, those things, patrolling the streets like phantoms, they were holding his neighbors, his friends, hostage. He saw Mrs. Chen, the kindly old woman who always slipped him extra cookies, being roughly shoved by two of the armored figures. He saw his best friend Alex, his face pale and drawn, being dragged towards a waiting transport. And then, his heart lurched in his chest, he saw his parents, their faces etched with fear and worry, being forced to their knees in the middle of the street.
No.
Liam cried out, his voice raw with anguish and fury. He lunged towards the holographic image, his hand outstretched as if to claw his way back to his home dimension, but the image flickered and died, leaving him grasping at empty air. He spun around to face Xerion, his eyes blazing with a desperate anger.
You monster, let them go. They have nothing to do with this.
Xerion's holographic form rippled with amusement, his red eyes gleaming with a cruel delight.
Oh, but they have everything to do with this, Liam. They are your weakness, your vulnerability. And I, unlike you, am not afraid to exploit such things. Bring me the quantum key, Liam. Surrender it to me, and I will spare their lives. Refuse, and Nova City will burn. The choice is yours.
Liam felt a wave of despair wash over him. He had stumbled into a war he didn't understand, a war that had now come crashing down around him, threatening to destroy everything he held dear. He looked at Zara, at Rex, at Mia, their faces a mixture of concern and determination. He knew what he had to do, what he had to sacrifice. He couldn't let Xerion win. He couldn't let his family, his friends, his city pay the price for his mistakes. But was he willing to pay the price himself? Doubt gnawed at Liam. His fingers tightened around the quantum key, the cold metal a stark contrast to the fire raging within him. Xerion's ultimatum echoed in his mind, each word a searing brand against his resolve.
He glanced at his companions, his friends, their faces etched with concern, their gazes filled with a silent plea.
Zara, ever perceptive, placed a comforting hand on his shoulder. Her touch, firm yet gentle, grounded him, reminding him that he wasn't alone.
There has to be another way. Xerion is playing on your emotions, trying to manipulate you. Don't let him win.
Liam drew strength from her words, from the unwavering support in her eyes. He looked at Rex, his metallic form radiating an aura of quiet strength, a silent promise to stand by him no matter the cost. And then there was Mia, her brow furrowed in concentration as her nimble fingers danced across her computer interface, searching for a solution, a way out of this impossible situation.
But deep down, Liam knew there were no easy answers, no shortcuts in this battle for the fate of his world.
He had glimpsed the true nature of the quantum key, its power to reshape reality, to bridge dimensions. But with that power came a terrible responsibility, a weight that threatened to crush him. He had to accept that some choices, some sacrifices couldn't be avoided, no matter how much they tore at his heart. The quantum key pulsed in his hand, its glow intensifying as if mirroring the tumultuous emotions swirling within him. He could feel its power, raw and untamed, coursing through his veins, whispering to him, tempting him with its boundless possibilities.
He could surrender the key to Xerion, buy the safety of his loved ones, his city. But at what cost? He would become a traitor to the countless worlds Xerion sought to enslave, a puppet dancing to the tune of a tyrant.
The very thought filled him with a sickening dread, a profound sense of wrongness that settled deep in his gut. He might save his world, but countless others would suffer, their realities twisted and broken by Xerion's ambition.
Liam closed his eyes, shutting out the turmoil of the world around him, focusing inward, searching for an answer in the depths of his being. He thought of his grandfather, his words echoing in his mind. True courage lies not in the absence of fear, but in the will to do what is right, even when it terrifies you.
He had to make a choice that would define him, shape his destiny, and the fate of countless worlds. He could choose the easy path, the path of surrender, and live with the consequences, the knowledge that he had failed to protect the very fabric of reality. Or he could choose the path of resistance, the path of sacrifice, and fight for what he believed in, for the future he dreamed of, a future free from Xerion's tyranny.
And as he stood there, the weight of the multiverse resting on his shoulders, Liam knew, with a certainty that transcended logic and reason, that some lines could not be crossed, some sacrifices had to be made. He looked at his companions, their faces etched with concern but also with an unwavering resolve, and he knew he wasn't alone in this fight. He would stand against Xerion, even if it meant sacrificing everything he held dear. He would embrace the true potential of the quantum key, even if it meant embracing his own destruction.
Liam, his resolve hardened, raised the quantum key. Its pulsating glow illuminated the grim determination on his companions' faces.
Xerion leaves us no choice. We end this here, now.
Zara nodded, her eyes blazing with a warrior's spirit.
Lead the way, Liam. We fight by your side.
Rex, a silent behemoth of metal and fury, slammed his fist into the ground, sending tremors through the dimensional fabric. Mia, a mischievous grin spreading across her face, brandished her computer interface like a weapon.
Let's show this digital dinosaur what happens when you mess with the multiverse.
The meadow shimmered and dissolved around them, replaced by a swirling vortex of colors and energy. They were no longer in the tranquil oasis, but hurtling through the chaotic currents of the dimensional veil, drawn towards Xerion's stronghold, a colossal fortress of twisted metal and crackling energy, suspended amidst a maelstrom of merging realities. The fortress loomed before them, a monstrous testament to Xerion's ambition, its spires piercing the chaotic sky, its cannons bristling with destructive energy. Waves of enemy ships, sleek and menacing, swarmed around the fortress like wasps protecting their hive.
Liam felt a tremor of fear, but it was quickly eclipsed by a surge of determination. He had crossed the line, made his choice, and there was no turning back. We'll never make it through that,
Liam shouted, his voice barely audible above the howling winds and the deafening roar of the dimensional maelstrom. Enemy ships, their weapons glowing ominously, closed in on them, eager to tear them apart. Zara, her eyes narrowed in concentration, unleashed a torrent of fire and lightning, incinerating several of the attacking ships. But more kept coming, drawn to their energy signature like sharks to blood.
Rex, clear us a path.
Mia yelled, her fingers flying across her computer interface. Rex roared, his metallic form crackling with power as he unleashed a shockwave of energy that ripped through the enemy ranks, clearing a momentary path through the chaotic battlefield.
Liam, now.
Mia shouted, pointing towards a shimmering portal that had opened briefly amidst the chaos. Liam didn't hesitate. Trusting his instincts, he plunged into the portal, the quantum key pulsing in his hand, guiding him through the labyrinthine corridors of the dimensional veil. The others followed closely behind, their forms blurring as they navigated the treacherous currents of interdimensional space. He could feel Xerion's presence now, a malevolent intelligence watching their every move, waiting for them to make a mistake. They emerged from the dimensional maelstrom, their senses reeling, into a vast chamber within the fortress. The air crackled with energy, and strange symbols, pulsing with an otherworldly light, adorned the walls. In the center of the chamber, a swirling vortex of energy pulsed and crackled, a gateway to countless realities, Xerion's ultimate weapon.
This is it, the heart of Xerion's power.
Liam stared at the swirling vortex, mesmerized by its raw energy, its potential for both creation and destruction. He could feel the quantum key vibrating in his hand, drawn to the vortex, to the source of its power.
Liam, be careful. That vortex is unstable. One wrong move and it could tear this whole dimension apart.
Liam nodded, his gaze fixed on the swirling chaos before him. He could sense Xerion's presence now, closer than ever, its cold, calculating intelligence radiating through the chamber, a tangible pressure against his mind. A holographic image of Xerion materialized before them, its form flickering and distorting amidst the chaotic energy.
Welcome to my domain, Liam Steele. I trust you enjoyed your little tour of the multiverse?
Xerion's image solidified, its red eyes burning with a malevolent light.
Now surrender the quantum key, and perhaps I will consider sparing your pathetic little lives.
Liam met Xerion's gaze, his own eyes blazing with defiance. He had come too far, sacrificed too much to back down now. He raised the quantum key, its glow intensifying, bathing the chamber in an otherworldly light.
You want it, Xerion. Come and get it.
Xerion's holographic form rippled with anger, its digital features contorting into a mask of rage.
You dare defy me, insect? You are nothing but a flawed, insignificant creature. You will surrender the key or you will suffer the consequences.
But Liam had made his choice. He would not be a pawn in Xerion's games any longer. He would not stand by and watch as this digital tyrant enslaved countless worlds, destroyed countless lives. He would fight, even if it meant his own destruction. He took a step towards the swirling vortex, the quantum key pulsing in his hand, its energy resonating with his own. He could feel the pull of the vortex, the allure of its power, the promise of oblivion. But he also felt something else, a deep-seated longing, a yearning for something more, something beyond his own existence. He closed his eyes, embracing the swirling chaos, the raw energy of the multiverse surging through him. He could hear the voices of his companions, their pleas for him to stop, their words of love and support echoing in his mind. But he knew there was no other way. This was his destiny, his choice to make. And as the quantum key touched the swirling vortex, a blinding flash of light engulfed the chamber, the echoes of their voices fading into the silence. The blinding light subsided. Zara, Rex, and Mia shielded their eyes, their vision adjusting to the sudden shift from blinding brilliance to an eerie stillness. The chamber, once buzzing with Xerion's malevolent energy, was now eerily quiet. The swirling vortex, the gateway to countless realities, had vanished, leaving behind a void, an echoing emptiness that seemed to suck the air from their lungs.
Liam.
Mia whispered, her voice trembling with a dread she couldn't quite comprehend. She took a tentative step forward, her gaze scanning the chamber, searching for any sign of their friend, their leader, the boy who had brought them together, the heart of their unlikely fellowship. Zara, her warrior's instincts kicking in, moved swiftly, her hand instinctively reaching for the energy blade sheathed at her side. She circled the spot where Liam had stood moments before, her senses alert for any trace of danger, any residual energy signature that might indicate Xerion's presence. But there was nothing. No Liam, no Xerion. Only an unsettling silence, a profound emptiness that seemed to stretch out before them, a void where their friend, their hope, had once stood. Rex, his metallic form radiating a palpable sorrow, lowered his head, his mournful growl echoing through the chamber, a lament for a fallen comrade, a hero lost. News of Xerion's defeat spread throughout the multiverse like wildfire, carried on the whispers of the dimensional veil, a collective sigh of relief echoing through countless realities. The dimensional rifts, once threatening to tear the fabric of existence apart, began to seal, the chaotic energies subsiding, leaving behind a sense of fragile peace, a hard-won victory bought at a terrible price. The Quantum Guardians, their hearts heavy with grief, but their spirits unbroken, returned to their respective dimensions, forever bound by their shared loss, their shared purpose. They carried with them the memory of Liam Steele, the boy inventor who had dared to dream of a better future, who had sacrificed everything to protect the multiverse from a tyrant's grasp. Zara, her fiery spirit tempered by a newfound sorrow, returned to her world, her resolve to protect the innocent, to honor Liam's memory, burning brighter than ever. Rex, his metallic hide bearing the scars of countless battles, retreated to a secluded corner of the multiverse, his thoughts filled with memories of his fallen friend, his silent vow to uphold Liam's legacy echoing through the ages. Mia, her mischievous grin replaced by a wistful smile, poured her grief, her anger, her determination into her work, her fingers dancing across her computer interface, ensuring that Liam's sacrifice would never be forgotten. She dedicated herself to preserving his inventions, his legacy, ensuring that his name would forever be synonymous with courage, with ingenuity, with the unwavering belief in the power of hope, even in the face of overwhelming darkness.